Welcome back to the Badass Reset Club. I am your host, Heather Yancey. Today we're talking about something that we don't talk about very much. Now, it's not necessarily just fitness, it's not necessarily nutrition, and it's not necessarily just hormones, but it does have to do with everything. This is a talk that, midlife women don't get told enough. We don't have to live with chronic pain or stiff hips or those nagging shoulders or the low back fatigue every time that you move. If you are a woman who's experiencing pains, aches, stiffness, don't accept that this is just part of life. Don't accept that this is just getting older. Midlife isn't a breakdown. I keep saying this. It's not a crisis. This isn't a cry me a river that everything's over. What this is a biomechanical wake-up call. So if your body's feeling achy, or if you feel like your posture's collapsing into your laptop, or your workouts just don't feel right anymore, you're not broken, my beautiful friend. You most likely are out of alignment, and we can fix that. These are not just signs of getting older, and I wish that doctors especially would stop saying this. These are just signals that your body is craving a reset. Hence, the Badass Reset Club. We hit that reset in so many ways. But we're going to talk about in our 40s and our 50s and beyond, these hormonal shifts, the years of sitting, the stress, the bad habits, they're catching up with us. And our body is whispering, and maybe yours is perhaps shouting, that something's off. And most of the time, we're trying to fix the symptoms. We're trying to fix pain. We're trying to fix weakness. We're trying to fix fatigue without addressing the foundation. And that foundation is your alignment. So when your alignment's off, your strength doesn't stick. And when your posture has collapsed, your energy tanks. And when your body compensates, instead of moving with clarity, you start to feel like a stranger in your own skin. Can we relate to this? And here's the truth. Strength, mobility, even confidence, it all comes from a strong, aligned foundation. So this is where alignment in midlife really matters. Posture impacts everything. Your breath, your energy, your confidence. And slouching isn't just about looks. It's a signal of muscular imbalance and structural fatigue. We have hormonal shifts. Yes, amen. We all know this, but that can affect your structure as well. If we think about declining estrogen, we think less joint stability, more inflammation, slower recovery. Alignment helps us to buffer those effects by restoring mechanical efficiency. And then if we think about strength on a misaligned frame, this is risky, especially when we're putting load on there. If your hips, your spine, your shoulders, they're out of whack, every squat, every walking lunge, every push-up builds on dysfunction. So real alignment is equivalent to real results. When I was in 6th grade, boys used to walk past me and they'd say, "Hey, 6'4", how's the weather up there?" Now, I'm not 6'4", but I am a tall gal. And at that time, I was the tallest kid in school in the 6th grade. As we moved into middle school, I was one of the tallest girls. The boys started catching up a little, but I was still one of the tallest girls. And when you're standing in a group of young ladies, you do not want to be the tallest lady, especially when you're starting to sprout boobs. You start to slouch, you get shorter, you just want to fit in with everybody else. I wanted to be the cute short girl, and I wanted braces. And I just felt like I stood out like a giraffe in the crowd, and I couldn't stand it. Now, oftentimes in middle school, we don't love what we look like. We don't love what's going on with our bodies, and we all feel a little awkward. But when you're that tall, you tend to start to slouch. You just don't want to be standing so much more erect than everybody else. Now I wear that tallness like a badge of honor. I love to even put on heels. I love to tower over people. There's something that just makes me feel so strong being in an aligned body that stands tall. And if we think about the years and years and years that our body has been trained to do something a certain way, I've only been standing in this power, in this tallness, in this confidence, in this strength for a few years. So compared to the rest of my life, I've got some catch up to do. I've got some work to do because all of these smaller intrinsic postural muscles, they're doing what we've trained them to do our whole lives. So if you are a sloucher, or if you are someone who walks with a big old anterior rotation and you got your booty behind you and it's just really pronounced, we got some work to do. And we're going to break down a couple things that you can do to help fix pain, help fix your posture, help fix your performance in the gym or in life or in your career, whatever it is. But I want to explain to you the whys, and then I'll explain to you the hows. Okay, so let's first start with your rib cage and your pelvis. Really chic right now in midlife to talk about pelvic floor therapy, to be aware of what's happening with your pelvic floor. But we have to understand that this pelvis, and yes, all of the muscles in and around the pelvic floor, this pelvis and your hips are very, very important for everything else that we do. So when we go up just a little bit higher into the chain, we've got to talk about the rib cage. The rib cage and the pelvis, it's like your core's bookends. And most midlife women are stuck in a forward tilt. So hello, hip flexors, or flared ribs, pushing the ribs out. And thank you, shallow stress breathing. And this combo disconnects your diaphragm and it weakens your core and it stresses your back. So these are things that we just do not want to exacerbate. Paying attention to how you stand is very important. Just recently, I started doing this with my yoga class when I'm teaching yoga. I'll have them stand in a true Tadasana, in a true mountain pose. And that means you're standing, you're evenly distributing the weight on all four corners of your feet. You've got strong leg muscles. Your hips are stacked. You're not sticking your butt out. You're not tucking the pelvis under. You're just stacked. The shoulders are back and down. The rib cage is pulled down to the hips. And then you feel the strength of your muscles, palms forward. And you're able to take just that big, beautiful breath there. And that is the way we should be standing all the time. So one thing that I'm going to share with you today is something that you can do all the time. I'm going to give you a couple different exercises that you can do, but one thing that you can do all the time is what I just shared with you. Get into that true mountain pose, that true, beautiful, aligned position. And then what you want to do is pull the weight back onto your heels. So notice when you're standing in the kitchen, notice when you're standing at work, notice if you're at your standing desk like I am right now. How are you standing? Are you leaning forward on the balls of the feet? Most of us are a little bit forward. When I take pictures of people from the side to show them the ear over the shoulder, over the hip, over the ankle, usually the head is way out in front of the body. We call it this forward displacement. And the reason for that is we're always living to go forward. On our phones, on our computers, we're pulled forward with this heavy head. So when you get into that true north Tadasana position, load the weight of your heels. And you might even try this right now if you're not driving a car or doing something else. Load the weight of your heels and then pull your chin in towards your chest. And notice how that feels. And it might feel really strange. But that's you actually lining up. You're stacking those joints that we look for, the ear, the shoulder, the hip, the ankle, to be in alignment. And the more that you practice that, the easier it will be to get into that aligned position. The easier it will be to breathe. Then it's better for us when we start moving, performing, working out in the gym. I want to share with you a few things that you can do today to help get yourself in alignment. And these are little things you can do. If you're watching this on YouTube, I am going to put pictures up into the video so you can see. If you're listening to this, try to get a good feel for what I'm saying, and I'll try to walk you through really well. So one of my favorite things to do is to start clients in a static floor position. That means you're laying on your back. You've got your feet up on top of either a weight bench or a chair or a coffee table or something that's roughly about 18 inches high. You're going to spread your arms out to the side. Your palms are going to be up. You have just a little bit of an arch in your low back. And then you're going to take some deep, deep breaths there. So you're going to take a breath in through your nose. And then you're going to exhale out of your mouth until your ribs drop. You want to feel everything engaging, though, in that breath work. So we're getting that breath to come all the way down into the diaphragm. And this is going to help you in real life with core engagement. This is going to help you to have less back pain. We're taking all the pressure off of your back. Gravity is out of the equation. And we're giving you the potential to have more stable and powerful lifts in the gym. Because I know all of my listeners are lifting weights, right? Right? Yes. So that's static floor. Now you would do static floor ideally in the morning and ideally at the end of the day for 5 to 10 minutes. This is something that if I am stressed out, it grounds me. It helps me to get back into that parasympathetic system, out of the fight or flight. If my back is flared up, if I've been moving a lot of weights around for clients, or I've been, lifting extra heavy myself and I'm just feeling it, I will get myself into static floor. If I've had a long day of hiking, it feels so good to get those feet up and it feels so good on the back. So give that one a try. The second one that we're going to do is we're going to realign your hips to reset your strength. So when we think of our hips hinge, and they hinge when we're walking, when we're lifting, when we're climbing stairs. And after decades of sitting, driving, Sherpaing our kids all over town, crossing our legs to sit like a lady, most of us have shut down the stabilizing muscles in and around the hip joint. And that can lead to compensations. That can lead especially low back pain. And it can also go the other direction. It can go down into the knees. So what we want to do is we want to work on resetting the hips. And when I talk about the hips, yes, they hinge. You have what's called a PSIS to ASIS discrepancy. Most of us have a little bit of a discrepancy there, meaning the tilt of our hips, they're either coming forward or they're rolling backwards. And oftentimes they're not in conjunction together doing that. So sometimes your left hip will be a little bit more anterior tilted than the right hip. And that is where we can really see things to start to get off. The other thing that we see with the hips is we get rotation. So the hips might also have this disparity of left-right tilt, but one of them might be pulled forward more and it's rotating. And when we have that pelvic rotation, we're definitely going to see the height of the hips get off. We're going to see people start to complain of back issues and knee issues. So one of the things that I love to put into people's programs, or for my alignment clients that are working out of their app, they'll often see abductions and adductions, and you can do them in so many different ways. I'm going to give you 2 things that you can do today to help get your hips nice and even. So seated abductions. What you're going to do is you're going to sit up in a chair. You don't have to have a back on the chair because you're going to use your really good posture. You're going to have an extended spine. You have a slight curvature in your low spine. You're lifted up out of that. And then you're going to put a strap around the top of your knees, right above the kneecaps. Now, this strap should be something more like a belt that's not moving instead of like a physical therapy band, because that one has a lot of give. So you want it to be a nice tight strap. Once it's above your knees, you're going to gently press out into that strap and hold for 1/1000 and then relax. Then push out and then relax. Just make sure that you're not collapsing in your spine when you do that. You're sitting up tall the whole time. And you want to feel that press, not from your knees into the band. You want to feel that coming from the hip joint as much as possible. So I want you to focus on that. You would do a set of building up to 20 of them. Take a breath or two, and then another set. And if you can't do 20 out of the gates, you build up. That's totally fine. After the abductions, you're going to work into adductions. So we're working from those muscles on the outside of the hip, and now we're working into the inner thighs. What we want to use is a yoga block here. You're going to put the yoga block between your knees. You're going to go back to that tall seat, sitting up with great extension, and then you're going to gently squeeze into the yoga block. And again, you're trying to bring that from the hips, not just from the knees. It's not just knees pushing in. You want to feel the whole leg pressing in, hold for 1,000, and release. And do the same thing. Work your way up to 20 of them, take a break, and then repeat. This is real life impact. You're going to see yourself get stronger glute function, inner thighs. You're going to get reduced back and knee pains. And then you're going to have improved pelvic control for better walking, better lifting, better balance, all the things that we want. And the last thing that I want to share with you is how we can address shoulder protraction and shoulder elevation. I cannot walk in public anymore without seeing somebody with a shoulder that's much higher than the other. And it just like, I just want to go and help them. I know that they're going to be having issues if they're not already. And when we think about shoulder protraction, I mostly see this in women. And I really do think it came from that coming of age story when we were in middle school, when we were in high school, when we started growing the boobs. I mean, for some of us, oh my gosh, it was like 5th grade when girls started getting their periods and boobs started sprouting. You would see women protracting. They were trying to like concave their chest because they just didn't want people to see that. So over time, years and years of these muscles holding our frames in a certain way, we've gotten protracted. Another reason that we're protracted is because of the technology. Think about how we're tight all the time into our phones, on our laptops. So we're going to work on fixing that. This is why it matters. When we have hunched shoulders and tight traps, this is a midlife combo. And we've got years of stress and tech and overworked upper body muscles. So that posture not only affects how we look, but it starts to mess with our breathing. It can affect our sleep. Of course, it's going to come into affecting your lifting form, and it can even cause tension headaches. So what we want to do is what's called supine arm extensions. So what you're going to do is you're going to lay on your back, bend your knees so your feet are flat on the ground. You're going to bend your knees. You're going to interlace your hands and lock out your arms in front of you. And then you're going to inhale those arms over your head. Maybe they touch a yoga block behind you or the floor. And then you're going to exhale, bring them right back over your chest. So we want to work with the breath on this, and we want to try not to just flare out the ribs. So in order to do that, you're going to interlace, you're going to squeeze your shoulder blades together to lock down that flaring. And then breath in, reach up overhead, breath out, bring them back. So you only go as far as you can do it without flaring those ribs, shrugging the shoulders, or feeling pain. And this is a great one to do 10 times, work up to 10, take a break, and then do 10 more. Now, if you can get your arms back to a yoga block, you're just going to gently press down on that yoga block and then bring them right back up. And when we work on this, we're opening up the chest. We're relieving that tension in the neck and in your traps. Most women are really, really tight in their traps. And we're going to improve our posture and our breathing. And then we're going to enhance overhead movements without pain. So if your job right now is wanting to, or your goal is wanting to start maybe taking your overhead presses up, or maybe you really have a goal of working on pull-ups, you're really going to need to dial this in to take the tension out and learn how to move and get the breath in properly. So thinking about working on these 3 things, just remember midlife strength doesn't just come from pushing harder, right? It's about alignment. It's about aligning smarter. It's about alignment both in your body, in your thoughts, and where you're thinking of where you're going. And your body wants to move well. So allowing yourself these three things to come in and help you, it's kind of like you just got a map on how to start getting aligned. Now, if you're curious about an alignment sequence routine, I do have a free routine to give you. And what I recommend is you do it for 1 full week, and you do it in the early part of the day, at the end of the day, before a workout, after a workout, when it lines up for you, and see how you feel. When I do this, I take pictures from the front, from the side, from the back, and I do measurements. We measure 20 bony landmarks, and then we get the exercises, and I will go and remeasure just to show that these exercises help you to get lined back up, but it doesn't stay. You have to be consistent with it, and you have to be consistent with it for quite some time. But I would say try these 5 exercises for a week, see how you feel, and then they're yours. So if you want that free PDF download of what you should do for a week, I'll make sure to include that in the show notes. And hopefully these 3 little tips are going to help you to get yourself out of pain if you're feeling pain, or to move a little better, or just let that posture be rocking. Because when we have good posture, we are performing great, we are getting out of pain, but we're feeling really confident. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Badass Reset Club, and we will see you next time for more good stuff.